Good afternoon. My name is Lana, and today I will be discussing and summarizing the research report that I wrote, which answers a specific research question, which was, what are the pros and cons of globalization speeding up the development of technology? Let's begin. In the introduction, I wrote about how the rate of technological spreading has accelerated as a result of globalization. I will discuss further on in the essay about the pros and cons of speeding up the development of technology through globalization. Is it a good thing or a bad thing? Cross-border technology transfer has supported a partial reworking of the innovation landscape. In addition to contributing to improving domestic productivity levels in established and emerging countries. The global movement of people and product has been sustainably accelerated by improved air transportation. All of this has resulted in increased dependency between businesses and nations, which is both desirable and required. The growing speed of technology dissemination throughout the global economy is referred to technological globalization. It refers to the transfer of technology from developed countries to poor countries throughout the world. One example of technological globalization is mobile banking, which allows people to access money more quickly than ever before on their devices such as their cell phones, computers, all the way from home, rather than having to go to the bank every time you want to check your balance, or you want to withdraw money or something like that. So now I will be moving on to the pros and cons of this research report. I will first start off with the pros. Global knowledge flows are becoming more intense, demonstrating strong globalization advantages. Increased knowledge and technology transfer to emerging market economies has helped many emerging nations overcome the impact of the current decrease in innovation at the technology frontier. Now I will be moving on to the cons. As more individuals have access to international media technology, the major media producers are able to expand their cultures around the world. Control over the spreading of information has been eroded as internet technologies have enabled anybody to create their own podcast, YouTube channel, or blog. There are fears that modern technology have made it easier for conspiracy theories and opposite groups to convey their hateful beliefs online and hateful messages. Cyberbullying has ever been so high due to the sped up of globalizations these past few years. The reality is that it had a positive and a harmful effect in many different ways, but the one that affects everything else is technological globalization. For example, technology aids in acceleration of economy and culture globalization. But to finally conclude, I think that that technological globalization has its goods and bads. I think that technological globalization could be taken advantage of in a better way than it is right now. Before we can finish off this video, I will be doing a little self-evaluation about how the process of my essay went. I will talk about what went well, what would I have done differently, if I would do it again, and if I got the results that I expected. Okay, so what went well in my essay? I would like to think that picking out the research question was the best part of this whole experience. I chose it quickly, and I knew that I wanted to talk about the positives and negatives of technology, globalization in technology. I also think that the action plan went well because I managed to follow the first 2 weeks properly. I followed it all smoothly, and the action plan really helped me to become more organized and uh, organize myself. I also think looking at research for the positives or the pros for my essay went really well because I found information really easily. So now I'm gonna talk about what would I have done differently if I were to do it again. So I think I would have first followed my action plan word to word. Since I did follow the first 2 weeks and then I got caught up in other work and other stuff, so I had to do it last minute, which kind of rushed me, and I think the conclusion was a little bit rushed. I would probably have done the conclusion a little bit better and would have stuck to, I would have added more on the cons because I couldn't find as much information as I did for the pros. Okay, so I think that my action plan went very well. It went partially well at least because I did do all the steps that were written on my action plan. I just didn't do them in an orderly way. For example, I didn't start creating the script until the day before the submission, which shows the lack of time management. So now I will conclude this evaluation by talking about if I did get the results I expected. I would like to say that for the introduction and the pros, I got the results I expected. I over exceeded my expectations, and I think that I did well on those two things. But for my cons and conclusion, they were both a little bit rushed and they were unorganized, and they weren't as much as I wrote in the pros and in the introduction. Overall, I think I did get the results that I expected. Maybe I should have aimed a little bit higher. I should have went more into detail in my essay about different kind of stuff. But I think overall that it was an okay essay, and it could have been better, but it's still good. Thank you so much for listening to my analysis of my report. Have a great day. Bye.